We're going to start with the ladder as always, and as we know, Joey, the Magpies well clear on top of the ladder, but there is a logjam between that third spot on 40 points right down to ninth. It's a tight race through that bottom part of the eight.
There is still so much to play out in this ladder. So, of course, Gold Coast, as you said, got the game in hand. It looks like it's a race to 14 at the moment. The way that the ladder is shaping up, you're going to need a minimum of 14 wins.
15 you're going to need, Joey.
You're aiming at 15 to make it.
Yep.
14 to at least give yourself a chance. It used to be 13, the race to 13, but it is definitely 14. It might even be 15 when you think about the 9 games teams have got coming, but they've got majority have got teams against the bottom 10, and then they play against each other. So unless someone slips and goes on a bit of a poor run to finish, that's going to be important. And Adelaide today, the percentage booster gives them the buffer. Hawthorn, big percentage booster, because those two teams, Fremantle and the Hawks, that are on the 40 points, they're the two most vulnerable, I think, with the low percentage compared to the others. But the Hawks were able to gain 7%, so that was significant. And Fremantle just had to find a way. We'll get to that game, but just had to get the 4 points.
Really is a two-tier comp at the moment.
Yeah,
like a significant gap between 9th and 10th, or 2 wins the difference. It really is the haves and the have-nots in the 2025 season.
And that's why kicking out 14, maybe even 15 wins will get you in, because they are all beating up on all these bottom 10 teams. It's been the case for most of the year, and that's why we've got this big gulf that we've had really since back in round 6 or 7.
Well, most teams, top 8 versus top 8, go 50-50. They generally split the results. So if you look at that, on the run home, they generally play in that the top 2 teams play 5 teams in the top 8 on the run home of their 8 games, which is Collingwood and Brisbane. But the rest play sort of 4 teams. They'll win the other games.
Yeah.
It's whether they can go 3-1 to get in or 1-3 to miss out.
And even the Giants, they've got 5 games against bottom 10 and only the 3 games against. So even if they win one of them and take care of the other 5, that's 6 wins for them. That takes
15.
them up to 15. Yeah.
Got to get to 15.
My first crack is Tom's trouble. We know that Tom Lynch is in serious strife for what was an old school whack. It's not something you see on the football field very often. Once every couple of years, there it is there. It's the round arm swing which floors his opponent, Jordan Buss. Luckily doesn't hit him flush, doesn't fully connect. It's a terrible look, and I think it'll be delivered straight to the AFL tribunal. The matrix doesn't really cater for it properly because it's a low impact strike when the optics and the look of it is terrible. So straight to the tribunal. I think the AFL will argue for a 4-month ban.
4 months. Oh, that's big.
Sorry, 4-match ban.
Give him life.
Excuse me. A 4-week ban. That's 1 month for Tom Lynch. But his coach, Adam Muse, said there were reasons why he was a bit wound up.
The spirit is going to get dented when we feel like we're playing the right way, and our execution in our front end just not as good as theirs, and that's okay. We can work on that. We can train that. We can build into that. I'd be more worried, like I said, if our spirit, our energy and our system just went out of whack and our players didn't look like they cared. That's something that we won't tolerate. So, like I said, we'll lick our wounds and come up against another good team on the road and see what we can do.
So Adam Muse explains there was a bit happening off the ball where Tom Lynch was being held and frustrated. Take a look at some of these incidents. I'm not sure those holds are clear here. In fact, I think it was just a pretty strong one-on-one contest. Lynchy might be giving as good as he gets in some of these contests. There might be a few little tugs here and there. Do you see anything there, Joe?
No, absolutely not. And he's have every right to be frustrated, but I've seen every key forward in the competition get frustrated at times. It doesn't matter, but what he did was inexcusable. You cannot be doing that. And I'm not being dramatic. My first thought when I saw that was shades of Barry Hall on Brent Staker. A massive swinging arm. Now, luckily got him in the back of the head, but that's a horrible look in 2025. And for what we've seen players get 3-week suspension for, I would be surprised if it's anything less than that. I know it wasn't the severe contact and the concussion, but look at that. I mean, if his head was slightly looking somewhere else, that could have been disastrous. So I've got no sympathy for Tom Lynch for that act.
We've changed about 40 rules to protect the head, and we're going to allow this to be a 2-3-weeker? No way. This is 4 minimum, probably 5 for me, because this is exactly what we can't have in our game at any level. If you allow this at AFL level to be a 2 or 3 week penalty, you watch it just seep through the competitions around the local areas. This is one that needs to be stamped.
So in the matrix, it does come up as 2 matches, straight to the tribunal. Can get it to 4 matches. He has apologised, Tom Lynch, said that he was frustrated in the moment and is sorry for his actions, has apologised to his teammates, but Adelaide defender and midfielder Rory Laird has said that that sort of stuff is not on the football field, so has been condemned by the Crows players in that regard. It'll play out this week. I think the pass score...
What do you think he's going to get?
Yeah, I think four matches. I think that's what the AFL will argue. Again, a terrible look and not something you see on the football field very often. Kingy, what's your first crack?
I think they've got one team that's doing... playing the game a totally different way, and they're a genuine contender now, and it's Air Adelaide. They do everything in the air that opposition teams can't cope with. They can't handle their contested marking. They really can't. And we saw another couple today in different roles just grow. I think this is something that's going to be really difficult to cope with in September, particularly on grounds like the MCG. They got multiple targets. When you look at the contested marking game, they've got 4 players in the top 25 in the comp right now. I know finals are normally won at ground level, but this asset is something that other teams are not ready to cope or counteract just yet. I think this is significant. I think what we saw today, 12 contested marks to 3. I know it's Richmond, I get that, but the way they use this asset is significant. Have a look at the numbers there. Plus 66 contested marks. So why I say this is if you look at the rest of the competition of the contenders, you got Brisbane who are minus 15 contested marks on their opposition. The Dogs are minus 13. You got Collingwood who are minus 10 and Geelong are just in the positives. So this is something that they could do in a one-off effort in a preliminary final that could get them to a grand final. Just be too big and too strong and take control in the air. I love it, and I understand that this is unconventional and we haven't really seen this sort of dominance before, but the way their system copes and caters for these guys, I think it's game on for the Adelaide Crows this year. I really do. You know, they've got elite players sprinkled across the field, but these tools are taking the game by storm.
Not just the 3 tools, it's Jordan Dawson as well, who's one of the biggest wildcards in the competition, being sent forward. So Adelaide, it was a commanding win, really, fellas, and the Crows got it done really at both ends. Yeah, well, just something that I saw being at the game today that I was really impressed with. And this is the full investment to the defensive side of the game as well. So we talk about their offensive weapons, but this kid Worrell, but the way that they defend as a group and the way that they are buying in, I think is a trademark of this group now that is going to take them a long way. So this act from Worrell, just a pretty innocuous sort of getting back to sport, but this was happening all day off the ball. The celebrations of the small things. So they already are the best pressure team in the competition, Kingy, but the way they are buying in defensively, so since round 8, they are number 1 for points against. They are conceding 59.5 points a game since round 8. Number 1 in the comp for marks against, going inside 50. The little things that they have tightened up on is making a big difference. So on top of all the aerial assets, they've got the offensive weapons. They are buying in defensively, which I think is going to take them a long way. And something new with Max, Michael Kingy.
Oh, this I love. And some magnets get moved that you're not really concerned about, or they're not really game changers. But to have a player now that can negate the opposition's best intercept player, I think is a significant asset. And to see this guy go forward and do it against Nick Vlastuin, he had 3 intercepts today. In the last 8 years of football, he's only had 3 games with less than 3. That was the dominance in this performance. He kicked 3 goals. He had 10 disposals. He can do this against players like Andrews, Tom Stewart, Jeremy Howe. This is something every team needs to have. And I love the fact that the coaches addressed it now, and you get a good run in at it, you get a good look at what works and what doesn't, and how they can make this work with another taller type in the forward. I know they're very tall, another taller type in the forward half, but if he kicks goals, it just could be the wild card move you need.
He's hard-nosed, that's for sure, Max Michael Kingy. Not sure he's getting recognised down Chapel Street, though, but he's been very good for the Crows. Joey, Dan Curtin. Now, he was considered by West Coast as a top pick, potentially, in the Harley Reid draft. He slips to 8 to Adelaide, and they said he was a defender with a Marcus Bontempelli kick. He was superb today. Yeah, well, let's welcome the newest unicorn to the competition, because that's what this guy is. You think about Blitz halves and Luke Darcy and Luke Jackson and Sam Darcy. Well, this guy at 197 centimetres, he did it all today. He was incredible. He was the 6th highest rated player for the round in the competition. With what he has been able to do, Kingy, to play him on a wing, to be able to roll back and have 8 intercepts, to be able to push forward, hit the scoreboard, his running capacity, another one that can take contested marks. Physical, isn't it? But they have now got another weapon to this team that already has Dawson and Rankin in the forwards, and the guys getting it done behind the ball. I just thought this guy is coming at a rate of knots, and another one that could be a wild card come September. Looks impressive and very versatile, can play both ends.